Hey everybody, welcome to Britpop React, your me BP1. Give you more contact today, and BP2 is not here, so I'm going to cover this one. This is British versus American homes from a couple that moved from the UK to the USA. Now, you know that me and BP2 have done some house tours together of, you know, what you can get value for money in the US compared to the UK. I also did a full house tour. You know, we had nice little decorations and that autumny feel. This is a couple that's, you know, can say both about Britain and how they've lived in houses in Britain and then obviously in America. So I'm interested to see what they've got to say. It's a popular reaction as well, so why not? Let's get into it. I'll stop my drivel. Let's go.
ANS way, and in today's video we are going to be talking about 10 things that are different about UK homes versus American homes, especially as we've been living here for about 2 years now.
Stay tuned until the end because we've got some questions what you think about American versus UK homes. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this video. Number one, the most obvious one, it's size or lack thereof. Most UK homes are absolutely tiny. We mentioned this in a couple of other videos and they're smaller than I had anticipated.
In America, by comparison, when we got here, we were finding homes.
Let's just go back to that again.
Absolutely tiny. We mentioned this in a couple of other videos, and they're smaller.
Okay, so what have we got? House size. This is average house size by country. Our average house size is 818 square feet. Wow. The average house in the United States is almost triple this size in the UK. That's obviously average house. That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, obviously there's a lot more houses, but a lot more space, should we say. That is the one thing that we don't tend to have in Britain. It's funny because when you come over in the plane, it looks particularly green, but you know, we build a lot in Britain and we build in very tight spaces because the land is just very expensive. Expensive land, expensive houses, not a lot of land. Spain, Sweden, yeah, but there's a big jump there, isn't there, between UK and US
than I had anticipated.
In America, by comparison, when we got here, we were finding homes that were well in excess of 2,000 square feet.
That's a lot of money.
I would say more typically around 3,000. And initially we thought that's way too large for us. But what we have found is it's allowed for more rooms, more functionality in your house overall, and space to do things that you want rather than struggling to cram your clothes, storage, things. You can actually live in your home and do things. That leads to number two, and that is the functionality of US homes. And I'm talking walk-in closets and pantries and dedicated laundry rooms. In the UK, they would not come in a typical home. As we said in the first point, UK homes are tiny, so they don't really have the space
only on new builds.
Those types of rooms. But here in the US, they do, and it's something that I absolutely love here.
Number three on the list, the kitchen. Now, the kitchens in the UK are either non-existent little rooms somewhere in the house, either at the front or the back, that are separate from every other room. In the US, however, it's kind of a central location for gathering, dining rooms.
I love that. I love that. I'd love to have a house like that. That's nicely open plan where you've got the kitchen and you've got a lounge area, even if it's not, maybe it's not the lounge area that you snuggle up in front of the fire in the evening, but it's the lounge area of the hub during the day when there's activity or if you've got people over. I love that type. We don't have that in my house. I have a separate kitchen, no, not even a dining area to sit and eat, so it's literally a separate kitchen. You have to, you know, cook the food and then we come and we go into our dining room, which is separate and it's very small. In fact, just that there would probably be my living room, my kitchen, my dining room, my downstairs loo. In fact, I think you could fit almost my entire downstairs house in that. So, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, I live in a relatively okay house in the UK, you know, so it's just space. We just don't have a lot of space. But there you go. Let's keep going.
The living area so that you cook and entertain at the same time. This is something that we had to get used to, because having the kitchen in your living room is a little bit weird for English people, I would say.
Although newer build homes are starting to have this more open plan style living, but definitely when we were growing up, the kitchen was a separate area.
Yeah. One of the magical things we do have here in the US is the garbage disposal. I throw everything in there, all of the food scraps, turn it on, run the water, and it's gone.
And it's brilliant when you live somewhere like Vegas.
Hey? Yeah, you see, I've never seen, obviously not been to the US, never seen this in action, but I do, you know, ever since I was a kid and I watched the Flintstones on the telly, and I remember, you know, the dinosaur under the sink, and I used to think, what's it, you know, it wasn't until I'm a lot older now that I realised, you know, that you do have the garbage disposal in the US, which is one thing we definitely do not have in the UK. Everything goes in a bin, a smelly bin, that we wrap up, take out, put it in our dustbin outside. Whereas you can just incinerate it very, very quickly and wash it away. So
run the water, and it's gone.
And
it's pretty
when you
impressive.
live somewhere like Vegas that gets super hot in the summer, or for most of the year it's super hot, and you can just get rid of the food rather than have it in the trash can outside.
Yeah, I get that completely.
I'm adjusting my language.
Like in America. The other thing that Selena really misses is something from the UK, which is a drainage area that's built into the sink platform, sink basin, right next to the sink. So when you wash up, you put it over there and it drains off and it runs into the sink. So the water
do you not have that?
I don't miss it that much because I'm a dishwasher person. And we have these little drying mats and I find them perfectly fine, but you do mention all the time the drainage.
That it has that in the UK homes, and if we've got some shops, we'll share that here.
And the final thing, which...
That's a bit weird, isn't it? I didn't realise you guys didn't have that. I mean, it's just for basic things, you know, even if you rinse something quickly and you think, I'll just rinse that and I'll use that later, everything goes on the draining board really for that, because you just sort of air dry your maybe cups or glasses that you might use a little bit later, or just something that you quickly rinsed. Maybe the dishwasher's already on and you've got 2 or 3 plates. You know, where'd you put them? If the dishwasher's already on, always goes on the draining board. Easy. Rinse, whack it on there. So, yeah, interesting. Dry mats, maybe, but the water's got to go somewhere. Okay, go.
We've mentioned a couple of times, but I think it's really important. Pantries. I don't think I've ever seen a pantry in the UK, personally. Here in the US, every home that we looked at has a separate pantry or a huge area that acts as a pantry. And we get to store our huge 25 kilo Costco bags of rice and cereal in there.
The other thing that you might find, especially for our US viewers, is that in the UK, our washing machine is typically in the kitchen. Now, when I think about that,
seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds really strange. Can you imagine? You'll be cooking, or perhaps you're having dinner in the kitchen, you've got friends around, and then your washing machine is going off. Yeah, so
it's true. We've had our washing machine.
Weird thing about the UK kitchen.
We had our washing machine in the kitchen for many years until I got my garage converted, which half of the garage we made into a utility room. So we've now got our washing machine and tumble dryer out there. So that does make a huge difference, I must admit. But yeah, you know, all my life, you know, 40 years, I've had washing machines in the kitchen. So
Number 4 is bathrooms, or bathrooms, as is said in the US. They pronounce their THs. So many bathrooms. We have 3.5 in here, and I think in the last place we stayed was 3.5. All of the homes that we looked at had between 3 and 5 bathrooms. They are obsessed. In the UK, you'll be lucky to have 1 main bathroom, and maybe, depending on when your home was built, an ensuite, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Certainly when we were growing up, that just wasn't the norm in houses. But since the 2000s, 2000s, they started building the new home started having an ensuite. But even then, the ensuite bathroom was tiny and
comically small.
Comically small, where two of you cannot be in there at the same time. There would be one sink, and that's another main difference. Here in the US, their en-suites really do cater for two people. They have double sinks, and that would really be a luxury in a UK home. Actually, when I went to one of my colleagues' homes, her shower was so large, it was larger than one of my friend's bedroom. The shower space. That's how big it is here. I don't know if this is the same across the US, but one of the biggest things I found strange with the bathrooms here, especially the ensuite, was that they don't typically have a door, and that for me is very different from the UK. UK, you will always have a door to your ensuite or your bathroom. At number 5.
Don't get me wrong, I mean, yeah. Alright, number 1, ensuite. Yeah, we're very small over in the UK. She's right, can't get two people in them. You literally just stand there and you go, oh, shower, oh, sink, oh, toilet. You can literally do that, or you could literally touch all 3 of those just standing still. You can in my house. So just that little clip there, which I think is theirs, it just looks amazing. Yeah, so much space. I mean, you know, I'm 6'3", and it's a nightmare. You know, there's not a lot of room to walk around. The showers are so tiny; they're barely a metre by a metre. So you just stood in there like this, and you're sort of trying to do this, and you can't. You put your arm out, whack the door or something. It's a nightmare. So yeah, space is clearly a massive difference. You know, in the UK compared to you guys. A quick one in today's video, which is different for us on the channel. Just a plug for Clobber Island. If you head over to Clobber Island, I'll put the link in the description. This is where I get some of my clobber from, that we say in the UK. Today I'm sporting a Stone Island jumper. You can get 10% off over at Clobber Island if you check it out, see what it's about. They are a UK brand, a UK company, and they do great clothing at great prices, a lot cheaper than what you find in the shop. So go check them out, fully authentic. Alright, back to the video.
Parking, and this may surprise our American viewers, but in the UK, parking can be a real issue, and it's something that we suffered with when we were looking at new build homes, in particular, where they wouldn't have a driveway, so you would be assigned a parking spot, maybe 1 or 2 depending on the size of the home. But that was really something that you had to consider when buying a new build, is whether you're even going to have a space to park your car.
Before moving out here, we bought a 3-bedroom family apartment, and you have 1 allocated space, and that was it. There was no option to buy another one. And this isn't just places that are dense cities. We lived out, much further out from the city of London, so it's quite an odd way to live in the UK. America, by comparison, has excessive space. Especially here in Vegas, you have ample room to park your many cars, trucks, boats, jet skis, motorbikes, RVs. And number 6 is garage
parking. Yeah. So I'm just gonna talk a bit about, you know, what they say and my views from living in the UK, and you get my view as well. So yeah, they're right. I'm lucky enough I've got a driveway where we can sit 2 cars next to each other out the front. But you know, we've got kids, they're growing up. If they want cars, they won't be able to put it on the driveway. They have to park in the street. The street doesn't have a lot of street parking, so to speak, because most of the you know, as you go down the road, are all driveways, so there's not many gaps to actually put in additional cars. So that's going to be an issue. And yeah, some of the footage you saw there of the UK, you know, I don't live in the cities, but the cities are even worse. You know, they're one after the other down the road, where there is barely any front garden, maybe 1 to 2 meters. Certainly in a city where I am, old Portsmouth dockyards, a lot of the streets, the front door is on the street. Okay, the pavement front door, yeah, it's like that, and you're parking along, and you maybe get 1 permit per house. If you and that's just not going to work, is it? You got maybe 2 or 3 people per. Where do you park? Parking is a huge issue in the UK, And you know, we even have apps now. If you go to London or into cities, of people, if they're at work or they don't have a car, you can actually rent their driveway for a fee each day. I'm sure you don't even need to do that in the average US city, but yeah, it's crazy. Again, space issue.
In the UK, it's kind of a mixed bag. Older homes tended to have garages in which you cannot park modern cars because they were built for things like minis, metros, which most cars are too big now, so you can't actually get.
Can't get my car in the garage, so we have to get
buy
converted.
an older home, have a garage, you can't park your car, so they tend to be used as storage. Newer build homes, depending on where you are, as we mentioned, will either have no spaces and no garage, or we did buy a home in 2015 which did come with a garage that was big enough for a car and 2 tandem parking spaces.
Which is quite rare.
It's very rare, especially the closer you get to London. America, on the other hand, it's integral to their home design. They generally will have a double garage that fits within the home footprint. So instead of it being external to the house, it'll be built into the home. And they can genuinely be bigger than a UK apartment. I think this is a small one, it's about 400 square foot. Some of the ones that we looked at were maybe 500 to 600 square foot, which I'll throw something up on the screen. A UK apartment can be 600 square foot.
At number 7, we have getting your mail. And this is...
So again, my garage, absolutely pointless exercise. Can't fit a car in there. Becomes just a glorified storage space, which probably is the same for you guys. But you guys can have your car in there and storage space. We couldn't, so we just gave up in the end. Stuck a bigger shed out in the back garden, converted it into an office and utility room. So yeah, totally get the point. Most garages are a complete waste of time in the UK. They may as well just call it storage room.
Something that I definitely miss about the UK. In the UK, we have mail that just comes through the door. It's wonderful. You do not have to go anywhere. You hear when the postman arrives, you get your letters. Here, we have to trek about a block to go and get our mail. And it's a discussion every day. Oh, yeah, have you been to check the letterbox yet? In the UK, it's so much easier. And that's something I definitely miss. And I don't know if that's everywhere in the US, but certainly here in Nevada, that's how you get your mail.
Number 8,
not everywhere, because obviously, you know, we've done a lot about US mail, and obviously the mailboxes at the end of the driveway. Put the arm up if you got something to send. Actually, it seemed more convenient in certain way, because here we have to, if we want to send mail, we normally have to go to our local post office to send it, and we get mail through the door, obviously. Whereas I've had to put a little box outside mine, because my dog does generally eat the mail if it comes through. So yeah, not sure on that one. Maybe just for them they've got to go away to the block, but I know obviously a lot of funky mailboxes in the US on the end of your driveway with a little arm. I think that's so cool. I do think that is cool, but let's move on.
Temperature control, and specifically temperature control rather than heating, because in the US, at least in the parts that we would choose to live, nearly every home has air conditioning. Now, to a UK person, that generally means cooling the home. The way it works here in the US, which is new to me as well, it's amazing. Air comes from the sky, so it cools and heats. They're separate units. One's a gas burner or furnace, and one is an air conditioning unit that cools down, but it keeps and maintains the perfect temperature all year round. Really hot summers, which we get here, 46 degrees Celsius, it's perfect in here. And when it's cold, it takes, how long would you say to warm up in here?
10 minutes maybe?
10 minutes at most to warm the whole house. This leads us on to how it works in the UK. Horribly is what I would say. We have radiators, which firstly, to me are an eyesore, and I know we've done a lot better job of the modern panel ones, but they're an eyesore, they're in the way. I think they're filled with water, a boiler heats the water up and it comes out, and 2 hours later the house might be livable. I had no idea, I thought the radiator system was quite good until we got here. But trust me, heat from the sky is where it's at. I love it.
At number 9.
Heat from the sky. I mean, yeah, fair play. Again, I can't really comment on that because not been in a US home to experience it, but yeah, bang on right. I put the, if it's cold, put the heating on, sit and wait. We sort of touch our radiators here. They slowly warm up. Obviously, we've got a hot water tank, and as soon as we switch that heating on, that hot water tank starts pushing that hot water all the way through the house into our radiators to heat them up. I mean, it does get hot. I mean, you know, and we have got a thermostat which can say, oh, I want it 24 degrees, 25 degrees or whatever. You know, and we have the heating on a fair bit. You know, it does start to come on from end of October all the way through to March, really. Daily, twice a day, normally. Heat up in the morning and in the evening. So, yeah, again, it is a pain in the butt. It costs a fortune, and, you know, if there's a better way of doing it, you know, all of our houses, that's just the way they're built. Even the new ones, you know. They have heat pumps now, but yeah.
And we have gardens versus backyard. In the UK,
Yard.
gardens are like a national treasure for us. They're lush and green. Lots of British people are really into gardening. And sometimes they're disproportionately sized in comparison to the house. So you might have a small house, but then you might have this like 100-foot garden with these large orchard trees. Whereas here in the US, we're not finding that is as normal. And I get it. It can depend where you are.
Yeah.
And I've had a few people say to me, why do you call it a backyard and not a garden? Because it's not a garden. There's nothing about our backyard that makes me think of a garden, but it's different. It's a more functional space to put a pool, have your barbecue set up, play games. So to me, it is a backyard that you just make into whatever you want it to be. Whereas in England, it truly is a garden.
Finally, number 10.
You can make it what you
know this
want.
personally because we did put out a video that wasn't specifically about this, but we asked the question, and that is hardwood or hard surfaces versus carpet in your home. Now, I'm still torn. I'm quite traditional in the sense of I love carpet and it feels nice, makes the place feel warmer, more cozy. But I have come around to the practicalities of hard flooring. We use luxury vinyl plank, which is a high quality vinyl, but it mimics hardwood. And it's super easy to clean. You can wipe anything up, you can drop stuff on there, and
And it looks good.
it does look really nice. Where I struggle a little bit is we put lots of rugs down in the soft areas.
Yeah.
So we turn hardwood into carpet just in little spaces, which I think indicates that carpet is the way to go for me.
I know lots of people are going to say, no, carpet's awful, it's unhygienic. I think the thing that gets me about American homes, and it was one of the things when we was looking at rentals, was they would have hardwood everywhere, even in the bedrooms. And for me, I do like a bedroom to be cozy with carpet, but a bit like Ant, I've come around, so I get it. I do understand how much more practical hardwood is. It's just, it loses the cozy feeling of a UK home.
There you have it.
Yeah. I mean, our downstairs, kitchen, dining room, living room, office, utility room, and the hall, all hardwood, whether that's vinyl or you know, slats. It is easier downstairs. Hoover, then give it a quick steam clean, happy days. But then stairs are carpeted. Our stairs are actually carpeted. I don't know how much that is in the US, because that's a good point. I don't think I've seen any stairs carpeted, so that's an interesting one. Landing, the whole of our upstairs is all carpet. So my office, the kids' bedrooms, and our bedroom, all carpet. Obviously the bathrooms are tiled, but yeah, carpet. I would miss carpet, I think, if I was to live over in the US. I think carpet's cozy because it's warm, you know, and it is cold over in the UK, and it's constantly, you know, there's no underfloor heating or anything. Is not really a thing as much unless you get it put in after the house has been built, and it's cold, you know, and you walk around and it can be cold if you walk around bare feet. Obviously in a hotter climate where, you know, you like that and you haven't got cold feet, it's just a standard sort of temperature, then happy days. But yeah, I think I would miss carpet, certainly in this climate, if we didn't have it upstairs. But there you go, interesting one. That's the ANS way. Thank you so much for doing the video. Always helps out Brits like me to understand a bit more about the Brits versus US you know, videos, and you know, the houses of both, you know, here and there. And oh yeah, I think it would outweigh it though, wouldn't it? The space. I think I would love to have that space. really would. You know, it costs a fortune to have that sort of space in the UK. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is that pretty standard? Are they right? Obviously it's going to be different in the towns, in the cities like New York and so forth like that, where apartments are very small and very expensive. But yeah, average size house, nearly 3 times bigger out there. Happy days to you. We'll be back tomorrow for another reaction. Till then, it's goodbye from me. Bye.